Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to another video. On today's video we'll be discussing some Gundam lore this time, and we'll be looking at just why the Principality of Zeon lost against the Earth Federation in the 1 Year War. In my mind, one of the biggest and worst reasons for their defeat was their over-reliance on constantly trying to pump out experimental mobile suits. Instead of focusing on just one line of suits like the Zaku or the Goof, they completely just went over the top, making useless designs, and they ran out of resources and they overstretched their budget a lot, whereas the Federation was able to just design the Gundam mobile suit, a suit that on its own could take out multiple Zakus at a time and just gain instant superiority. Even vehicles like the gun tank were on the same level. If Zeon had stuck to just one line of mobile suit, they probably would have had that budget to mass produce them, getting their superiority back. Do I think they would have been able to match the Gundam? I'm not sure, just because the Gundam was a very advanced piece of tech, and I don't think Zeon was at the point at that time to counter that. But at least they would have had more money for more mobile suits to try and counter Federation forces. Now, there is no denying that Zeon clearly had the superior mobile suit pilots, while the Federation had Amuro. They had pilots like Char and the Black Tri-Stars, but that's where the next flaw comes in. Char Aznable wasn't even fighting on Zeon's side, and people like Cecilia Zabi gave him way too much trust, even knowing that he was planning on betraying them, but still trying to keep him by her side, who then got killed by Char in the end. But then, however, even though Char was constantly trying to betray the Zabis and get them out of power, the internal struggles of the Zabi family were probably a far greater threat to them. With Giran killing his own father, Cecilia killing Giran, there was a lot of stuff going on, and they would have never been able to win the war without that stable leadership, and Char was just like a frag grenade thrown into that trouble, igniting it even further, and I do not think that there would be any way that would have been solved. There was just way too many separate ideologies within the Zabi family, with Degwin at one point wanting peace with the Federation, seeing how much death was being caused by the war, and you have people like Giran, who was way too political. His views were very extremist when compared to the rest of his family, and he had that one goal that was in his mind and he wanted to carry it out no matter what. And when Cecilia killed him, that ruined everything, because everyone that was loyal to him had no more purpose, and then Cecilia ultimately gets killed by Char, which means that the core fundamentals of that Zabi command structure are now gone. The only people I would say were loyal to the war effort without fault were Dozal and Gama, who seemed very loyal to Degwin and Cecilia, and they all seemed to get along, but Giran just took it a bit too far in my mind, and obviously that resulted in the loss of the war. We've talked a lot about Char being traitorous towards the Zabi family because of the death of his own father and the way he was ousted as a kid by the Zabis, but I don't think it would have happened without Cecilia, because Cecilia is the one that knew about it and still entrusted him. So I would argue that out of all of the members of the Zabi family, Cecilia is the primary cause for the destruction of the war effort for Zeon, simply because she was just not smart and made the most stupidest decision of trusting Char, even though she knew full well his true identity. Next, I need to talk about M'Quve, because it was due to him that Zeon lost the ground wars on Earth. M'Quve was obsessed with hiding his mining operation down on Earth, and because of that, Zeon not only lost the battle at Odessa, but Brombaral also never got his DOMs, which would have obviously helped him defeat not only the Gundam but the White Base, and that was a huge loss for Zeon, because that meant that the Earth Federation got that superiority on Earth. Another huge failure in my mind on the side of warfare was Operation British, the colony drop that missed its target at Jaburo, with the massive cylinder instead hitting Australia, causing the deaths of millions of people, but it was still a failure nonetheless. Now, Jaburo was the military headquarters for the Earth Federation, and naturally that made it a logical target for Zeon. If the colony drop had met that target, it would have probably crippled the Federation way too much, causing them to surrender, but instead it landed in Sydney, killing civilians, but the Earth Federation was still able to fight on. On top of this, after being released from captivity, Admiral Revel made his famous speech to the people of Earth, claiming that Zeon had limited resources and were not able to fight a war for that long, and this all happened during a peace conference as well. Just when Zeon was about to get something done in their favour, Revel comes along, rallies the people of Earth behind them, they keep fighting, and eventually go on to win the war, beating Zeon at a Bawaku. So this was a slightly short video today. I just wanted to get a few points across, because I will be starting to make more Gundam videos. I want to do a Universal Century lore timeline at some point, but I don't know when I'm going to get started on that. Why do you think Zeon lost the 1 year war? Did I miss any points? Because if I did, comment them down below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification button if you want to get my videos as soon as they come out, and I will see you on the next video.